So if you've made it this far, then you are interested in seeing how coaching works. So I might have explained the problem, and this is two results that are different ends of the scale. And depending on where you're at, then your goals are going to be different. And I want to coach you and meet you where you're at. Because a lot of clients might have an expectation or a judgment on where they think they should be, but life's different. And I speak to clients all the time who have the mental sharpness capacity, but their body's not keeping up because the life they've committed to or that currently they're working, takes away from the big goal. Now, if training could be a priority in health and you didn't have to work, awesome. You could set bigger goals, but it's about maximizing what you can do, not focusing on what you can't. So I'm going to take you through two examples, Alex and Jay. Jay wants to be kind of left private, so I'm just going to keep his name out. But I'll tell you about his results as well as Alex. So you'll see both had good results. Alex from the UK, Jay, same thing, but Indian background. And my system works regardless of your starting point, right? Whether you need refinement or a full reset. And you'll see both examples here. So Alex, his starting point, he was already training. He had a personal trainer. He was pushing it. He was beasting himself all the time. But he was feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, stressed. And in this case, he was in awesome shape, better than Jay's end point. But for him, he knew he could have more. So I met him where he's at. We try to optimize it. As I said, he had a personal trainer who was just focused on making him feel it, push more. He was focused on burning more calories. She didn't talk about diet, didn't talk about stress management, and he was killing himself inside and outside of work. In his case, he was pushing hard as well at the weekends with some substance as well, more of an escape than anything else. Jay, he actually just threw out lots of suits and he joked he had to rebuy them because he just thought that he had to be 96 kilos or whatever it was at the start. He's like, I'm working, I work hard, I can't lose this weight, I'm done. So for him, we had to focus on a different approach. He's so busy and so stressed that it just wasn't going to work by pushing him and making him do a crazy workout and crazy diet that was unsustainable. So for him, it had to make sense and it had to stick with his busy life. So Alex, we refined nutrition. What he needed was just some little adjustments. Like for him specifically was just food quality. He's always eating on the move and just kind of freestyling nutrition. And he thought he ate healthy. It just wasn't targeted for his goals. Under eating protein, under eating calories. So we actually gave him more calories. He actually trained less, which is the training optimization part, so that he was actually focused on the right things. So burning less calories during his workout, but across the week, he was gaining, he was making progress. We were tracking the right stuff. And because we took care of sleep, stress management, then that allowed him space and time for recovery, which helped his performance. So he got leaner, got stronger. His subjective stress was better, meaning he felt better in the moment. And we had some objective measures and stuff with some kind of bio tracking, bio markers and things like that. Jay needed simple steps. He was stressed and overwhelmed already. So just like moving regularly, we gave him some actions that he could work into his daily schedule as well as weekly schedule. Because he's cycled, he's half worked out, done classes before. We just made a plan that he could stick to. Then no extreme diets. So he's had a fancy wine collection. He loved his wine. So we just allowed that within his plan. So he can actually socialize if he had client dinners, come home, have his wine. Now, could he drink as much as he wanted? Of course not, but he showed some restraint and he could enjoy it a lot more. And then just shifting the habits around that just to make sure that he was just making those small incremental shifts, taking those steps. And each week he was losing weight. In the end, I'll give you some stats. Alex, he's lost 7% body fat, gained muscle. Some of his lifts, he's put on 40 kilos, which is over 50% gain. If you know what HRV is, then that's a 20% increase. So his objective, potentially stress levels, nervous system, sleep quality has improved. We did that through good training, good nutrition, and some other things outside of that. He personally bought an ice bath for home because it helped with his mindset. Doesn't do it all the time, but probably averages a couple of times a week. At his peak, he was doing it every day. So we have to meet you where you're at. that was for Alex, and it really worked for him. Mindset, everything was improved, and it just allowed him to deal with the stress of work and life, and then he could still progress. Was he perfect? No. Did he miss workouts? Yes. He's just had the kid, and he's actually just lost another 1% body fat in the 6 months that his kid has been born, where other people go the other way. They put on body fat, lose muscle, so he's done awesome. And Jay, in 3 months initially, he lost 21 pounds. We doubled his protein, and he still didn't hit his protein targets. That was the one thing, because he had this mental block about protein being bad. So we doubled it, and he still made progress, and he could have eaten more. But again, I'm going to meet him where he's at. No extreme diets, no restrictions. He missed his targets, as you see in here. We didn't track perfectly. He didn't have perfect days. He had client nights, like dinners out, late calls to Asia and stuff like that. He wasn't perfect, but you don't need to be perfect to make progress. And he was happy because he lost 21 pounds. It was maybe 6 inches off his waist. I'm trying to remember the specifics, but really, really good results. So key lessons, Alex, was just refinement, making sure that his efforts were fine-tuned so that he didn't have to work harder than required. He could just do a little bit less work, but better quality. And then that got a bigger return on his efforts. Nutrition refinement, stress management was actually implemented because he never really did that before. So that gave him the space, the time, the capacity to recover. Jay was just simple, consistent foundational habits. So not about being perfect. It was just about him figuring out a way to move more, not being chained to the desk for the whole week. Didn't have to live in the gym. Everything was sustainable, could still drink his wine and could still eat some traditional foods that's included in his kind of cultural diet. And it's just an adaptive system that's tailored to each person. So you can see both of these guys completely different ends of the scale, different mentality when it comes to exercise, different coping strategies, slightly different age, but the outcome was positive for both of them. So it's not about being perfect, it's just about refinement. So just making sure that you do that. They both succeeded, as you can see, right? So for my system, how it adapts is we have to meet you where you're at. We have a big diagnostics process that we just get where you're at, your lifestyle, diet, exercise, training, stress, these little things that we have to know. Because if a doctor gives you medicine without asking questions, then it's malpractice. And that's exactly how I work. I have to find out exactly where you're at. If we haven't spoken yet, that's what that call is going to be about, to really get a grip of your position, your stress levels and things like that, where there are improvements to be made. And if I think I've got space, time, capacity and knowledge to help you, then that's what we're going to talk about. But if not, then I just point you in the right direction, because some people have to be coachable, they have to be helped, other people can't. And I'm not here to convince you otherwise. So it has to be built around your life. The program has to fit your schedule. So for Alex, he was already going to the gym. Jay, we had to kind of reintroduce some sort of movement practice, and that was individual to them. For you, whoever's watching this, it's just about building it around your life, meeting you where you're at. I think we have the influencer kind of expectation of being in absolute savage shape and training to the max with the best workout. Most people don't even stick to it, myself included, because life happens, sleep deprivation, kids, work, 10, 12, longer hour days. It's just about consistency. What can you do in your worst week, not focusing on extremes? So it's just about the momentum that lasts. So why this matters is, like, if you're busy, stressed, stuck, we have to meet you where you're at. That's what the system is, the ReSolv coaching system. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing, which means coachable, which means honest. Give me data, give me feedback. I don't need you checking in every single day. I'm going to follow up. I'm going to chase you up, but you need to give me some stuff to work with. Otherwise, you're just going to be keeping on making excuses. You're not going to be in a good place. So commit to yourself. You have to make progress, small incremental changes. Give me the data, not the drama. We figure out what the drama is, but the data is where we move the needle. So too many people wait for the perfect time to start, but there's no perfect time. The season's always going to be busy. The deal's always going to be needed. There's always going to be something, family, work, whatever it is. So if you are ready to commit, I'm going to have a third video, but for this, if you want to commit, jump on the call. Let me know you've watched this video. Let's fine tune or full restart, depending on what you get. Personalized assessment, as I said, full diagnostics, custom program design, ongoing support, accountability, all that stuff to guarantee that you get results and the system works. I'll speak to you soon.